If I lost everything tomorrow and had to start completely from zero at 25, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't scramble. I'd follow this exact plan. And in 5 years, most people watching this video would never guess I'd started from nothing. Let's set the scene. Zero savings, no investments, maybe some debt sitting on a credit card. Age 25, which means no massive head start, but also no massive time pressure yet either. Most people in this exact situation panic. They make random decisions. They chase whatever advice they saw last on social media. The plan I'm about to walk you through isn't random, and it isn't guesswork. It's 5 years, broken into 5 distinct phases, and each phase builds directly on the one before it. Skip a phase, and the whole thing stalls. Do them in the right order, and the math starts working almost automatically. Year 1 is not about building wealth. I want to say that clearly because most people get this wrong immediately. Year 1 is about stopping the bleeding and building the floor that everything else stands on. 3 things happen this year, in this exact order. First, an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of basic expenses, sitting in a separate account, untouched. This isn't investing money, this is protection money. Second, any high-interest debt gets eliminated. Credit cards first, because that interest rate is actively working against every other decision I make. Third, and this is the one people skip, every financial habit gets automated. Transfers, payments, savings. All of it running on autopilot so it happens whether I think about it that day or not. By year 2, the system locks in completely. A Roth IRA gets opened. Even a small amount matters more than waiting for a better time that never actually arrives. An index fund gets started, whatever amount I can manage, because time in the market matters more than the exact number I start with. Every single transfer is automated by this point. Paycheck arrives, money moves, no decision required. This is the year the system stops needing me to remember it exists. By the end of year 3, I hit the first real number, $10,000 invested. That sounds small when you say it out loud. It isn't. It's the number where compounding stops being a concept in a textbook and starts being something I can actually watch happen in an account. Growth on growth. Money making money without me adding a single extra dollar that month. Let's put real numbers on this, because vague advice is useless. Say the starting salary is $50,000 a year. Year 1, 20% of every paycheck goes toward the emergency fund and debt payoff, roughly $800 a month, until 3 to 6 months of expenses are covered and the credit card balance hits zero. Year 2, that same 20% shifts entirely toward the Roth IRA and the index fund, still around $800 a month, now going somewhere that actually grows instead of somewhere that was just protecting me. By year 3, at roughly $280 a month invested plus modest market growth, that account crosses $10,000. None of these numbers are extreme. None of them require a 6-figure income or a lucky break. They just require showing up every single month. A side income stream, even a small one, compresses this entire timeline. It doesn't have to replace the main job. An extra $200 or $300 a month from a side project, freelance work, or a small side hustle, added directly to the investing bucket rather than spent, can shave a full year off this plan. It's not required, but it's the single biggest lever available if year 1 feels slower than expected. Here's the part that most 5-year plans completely skip over, and it's the part that actually changes everything that follows. Year 4 is where something quiet happens. No fireworks, no announcement. The investment account simply starts growing by more in a single month than I actually contributed that month. That's not luck. That's not a lucky stock pick. That's the math finally catching up to 3 straight years of consistency. Most people blow year 1 trying to do year 4. They skip the emergency fund. They skip paying down the debt. They go straight to investing because it feels exciting, and then one unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, anything, wipes the whole thing out and sends them right back to zero. Foundation first. Always. No exceptions, no matter how tempting the shortcut looks. One more detail that changes the math dramatically over 5 years. Every single raise or income increase goes straight to savings and investing first, before lifestyle gets a single chance to absorb it. The raise goes to the jar, not the lifestyle. This one decision, repeated every time income goes up, is quietly responsible for most of the gap that shows up later. By year 5, something strange happens, and it's the whole reason this plan is worth following. The gap between my financial position and my peers, people who started at the exact same income, the exact same age, the exact same zero, becomes impossible to ignore. Same starting line, same salary the entire way. Completely different outcome, purely because of the order things happened in. The plan I just walked through isn't secret knowledge. None of it is hidden or hard to find. A Roth IRA, an index fund, an emergency fund, none of that is a secret. The only reason it actually works is because almost nobody does it in the right order, consistently, for 5 straight years without skipping steps or getting impatient. Order and consistency are the entire edge. Not a special stock, not a lucky break, not some app or hack, just the same 5 decisions, repeated in the same sequence month after month until the math takes over. There's a specific fork in the road that decides which of these 2 outcomes someone ends up in, and it shows up dozens of times over 5 years, not just once. It's the moment income goes up, a raise, a bonus, a better job, and there's a choice between upgrading the lifestyle to match it or keeping the lifestyle exactly where it was and directing the difference into the plan. Lifestyle creep is quiet. It never feels like a decision in the moment. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly newer car, small upgrades that each feel completely reasonable on their own. But stacked across 5 years and multiple raises, that's the entire gap right there. The people who end up on the same income no plan side of that comparison rarely made one bad decision. They made a dozen small reasonable ones every time income moved in the same direction. Up in spending instead of up in savings. Let me walk through it one more time, quickly, because the order matters more than anything else in this video. Year 1, foundation, emergency fund, debt eliminated, everything automated. Year 2, system, Roth IRA, open, index fund started, transfers running without me. Year 3, first real milestone, $10,000 invested, compounding becoming visible for the first time. Year 4, the quiet acceleration, growth outpacing contribution, the math doing more work than I am. Year 5, the gap opens and it stops being subtle. 5 years, 5 steps, in order. That's genuinely the entire plan. Nothing more complicated than that, and nothing less disciplined than that either. None of this requires being 25 specifically either. The exact same 5 phases work at 30, at 35. Starting later just means the 5-year window starts later too. The sequence itself doesn't change based on age. What changes the outcome isn't the starting age or the starting income. It's whether someone actually follows the order, month after month, without skipping to the exciting part, early or quietly, letting the lifestyle catch up to every raise along the way. If this gave you a clearer, more specific picture of the next 5 years than anything else you've seen on this topic, subscribe and follow. I break down one real practical money plan exactly like this every single week. No fluff, no vague advice, just the actual steps in the actual order.